All right, today we are diving into one of the most incredible stories in all of science. It's the story of your brain and its truly remarkable ability to change. We're talking about brain plasticity. So let's start with a big question, one that people have wondered about forever, really. Is the brain you have right now, is that it? Are you just stuck with it for life? Are your talents, your habits, even your personality just locked in? For a long, long time, the answer from science was a pretty firm yes. The belief was that the adult brain was basically a static organ. You hit adulthood, the wiring was set, the circuits were locked in, and, well, that was pretty much that. But it turns out science was wrong, like completely wrong. And this is one of the most exciting turnarounds in modern neuroscience. We've discovered that the brain is not some fixed machine at all. The truth is something way more dynamic and honestly hopeful. It's this concept called brain plasticity. Basically, it's the brain's amazing ability to adapt, to remold itself, to literally reorganize its own wiring based on your experiences. And not just when you're a kid, but throughout your entire life. So, okay, let's get into how this incredible process actually works. All right, first up, the myth of the fixed brain. Let's officially put that old idea to rest and talk about the reality of a brain that's constantly evolving. Okay, so the first big way the brain changes is by rewiring its connections. You can almost think of it like a city's electrical grid, right? It's always optimizing its pathways to be more efficient. Let's take a look at how this actually happens on a microscopic level. The fancy word for this is synaptogenesis, and all that means is the creation of new synapses. A synapse, that's just the tiny little gap where information jumps from one brain cell, one neuron, to another. It's the absolute foundation of everything. So to be super clear, synaptogenesis isn't about making brand new brain cells. It's about creating new lines of communication between the cells you've already got. And how this happens is pretty amazing. You've got this little structure at the end of a neuron called a growth cone, and it's basically exploring its neighborhood, kind of searching for a partner. When it finds the right target neuron, this complex, well, you could call it a molecular handshake, happens, and boom, a brand new synapse starts to form, creating a whole new path for information to travel. And this whole idea leads us to probably the most famous saying in all of neuroscience. You might have heard it, neurons that fire together, wire together. It just perfectly captures how we learn. When you practice something or you recall a memory, specific neurons are firing off at the exact same time. The more they do that together, you guessed it, the stronger that connection gets. Now, that's not just a catchy phrase, it's a real biological process. It's called long-term potentiation, or LTP for short. The best analogy is a path in a forest. The more you walk on it, the wider and clearer it gets, right? It just becomes easier to travel. That's exactly what's happening in your brain. Every single time you learn a new fact or practice a new skill, you are physically, literally, strengthening these connections through LTP. This is learning, right down at the cellular level. Okay, so rewiring existing connections is one thing. That's already pretty incredible. But what if I told you the brain could do something even more amazing? What if it could actually create brand new brain cells as an adult? Well, it can. And that process is called neurogenesis. So if synaptogenesis was about creating new phone lines between existing workers, neurogenesis is like hiring brand new workers for the job. We're talking about the birth of entirely new neurons from stem cells in the brain. Now, this isn't happening just anywhere in the brain. Research has found two main hotspots for this. One is related to our sense of smell, but the other one, this is the big one, it's in the dentate gyrus of the hippocampus. And why is that so important? Because the hippocampus is a critical hub for learning and memory. So new brain cells are being born right in the part of the brain that needs them most for making new memories. How cool is that? And believe me, the journey these new neurons take is pretty epic. First, they start out as stem cells. Then they have to travel or migrate to their final destination. After that, they have to change or differentiate into the right type of neuron for that area. And then they have to somehow plug themselves into the existing network. But here's the kicker. It's survival of the fittest. Not all of them make it. There's this intense competition where only the most useful, the best integrated neurons actually survive. Okay, so we've looked at the how. The brain can rewire connections, and it can even create brand new cells. That's the science. But let's zoom out for a second. What does this power of plasticity actually mean for you? In your real day-to-day life? Why should you care? Well, the short answer is it matters for pretty much everything. Brain plasticity is the very foundation of how you learn and remember anything. It's what allows you to adapt to a new job or figure out how to navigate a new city. It's also the amazing mechanism that helps the brain recover after an injury, like a stroke, by rewiring around the damage. And get this, by constantly learning, you're building up what scientists call a cognitive reserve. It's like creating a denser, more robust network of connections that can actually help make your brain more resilient as you get older. And this brings us to what I think is the most empowering part of this whole story. This isn't just something that passively happens to you. You actually have a direct role to play. You can help shape your own brain. The science on this is incredibly clear. On one side, you have things that boost plasticity. Physical exercise, learning new skills, even the food you eat can actively encourage the creation of new neurons and connections. But on the other side, things like chronic stress, not getting enough sleep, and a poor diet can slam the brakes on this whole process. The point is, your daily choices are physically influencing the structure of your brain. So, if there is one single thing to take away from all of this, it's this. Your brain is not a fixed piece of hardware that you got at birth. Not at all. It is a dynamic, living, constantly evolving organ, and it's being shaped by your actions and experiences every single day. And that leaves us with one last really powerful question to think about. Knowing that you are, in a very real sense, the architect of your own brain, knowing you can strengthen the circuits you want and even grow new neurons, what will you choose to build?